Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Clevatess Season 1, Episode 8. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So we start with the village/town, cornering Alicia, Nelu, and Luna. And obviously, there's a lot of understandable discontent that they have because it's just, they're in this situation right now. And it's like, oh, all the tax money apparently goes towards, forging the weapons that the heroes go off and fight with. And it's like, I don't know how heroes of the past, because I get it. Like, they've always probably had this, higher and had this position about them, like they're so great and they're so amazing, but they've never been able to properly resolve anything. And I think it comes from the perspective of where's the results. In 1,000 years of doing this, we haven't made any headway with any heroes. They just kind of falter and fall, and it's just obviously people taking their frustrations out because of the recent circumstances, being you're kind of caught in the middle of these gigantic war that's falling out because Glenn did what he did. He attacked the Hidden Kingdom and kill the king and stuff like that, leaving this power vacuum for people to come in and swoop in, and now so many people are getting caught up in the crosshairs. I mean, to be fair, it's like Maynard is legitimately using you. So who's to say he was just going to let them go when he got what he wanted? He even talks about it later on. It was all a performance. That's why he set things up. It's it's more maniacally funny and interesting to get them to kill her rather than having to lift his own hands to do it. That's why he did what he did. He used their frustrations with the kingdom and the monarchy and their frustration with the heroes, because they just feel like all our money's going towards this. You guys aren't, what have you really done? This town is a lumber town. It's we work hard, we have actual jobs. You guys just parade around as heroes. And what have you done with that? What have you accomplished with that? Once again, it's a tradition that's going on for so long, and just over the generations of no results, it built up resentment. And it's Alicia's just a cog in a larger machine, and she just did what she wanted. She believed in this. She wanted to do it from a very young age. She just wanted to expand out the world. It's a dream she shared with her father, and her father asked her to, especially because she's enacting out her father's dying wish, so you can't fault her for that. So, and Nello was trying to make her feel better. It's I think you're great because you helped save me. I've seen how heroic you can be. And it's the frustrating thing from Alicia's perspective, because I think for her, she understands their frustration. And so they're willing to burn down the place they're in just to get to her. But then Mark, which I did not realize that was the lady, the inn or tavern they were staying at. I didn't realize that was that main dude that we saw. His name is Mark. He's their dad. I didn't even realize that. But he's saying yo, what are you, stupid? We need that. It's a water wheel section. God, they said the word in the episode too. I'm trying to, but basically it's where they cycle out their water and stuff. Not cycling it out isn't the right word, but a water mill house is what I was trying to what I was looking for. But and he talks to Alicia. It's just come out. I want to talk to you. Promise won't anything happen until after we talk, and we'll see where things go from there. And so he asks her yo, so you're the hero? It's right. So where's your weapon? She's I lost it fighting Clevatess. It's oh, he's you didn't sell it? She's no. And so for him, it's initially okay, good. So you're good to go. And she's wait, what? It's yeah, if I found out you sold the weapon, I would have killed you, because it would have been you got the weapon and you didn't really fulfill your duty. But if you went out there, fought, lost it, that's one thing, versus you tried at least. At least you weren't parading around as a hero and using it just for fame and attention, and then just sold the weapon when it became convenient. As long as that's the case, which obviously we know, Alicia covets swords, specifically of the regalia variety. We know how very possessive of those she can be. Granted, the problem being, she'd be holding on tight to it right now if Clint hadn't taken it from her. But either way, it also becomes this conversation of, when you fought Clevatess, did you see beyond his realm? Is is it worth it? And just in that moment when she was flung up in the air, eye slashed, leg cut off, she's falling from the sky, but she's like, I could see it, an endless horizon. The world is round, and for her, it's like, was it all worth it? Because he's saying like, maybe when this comes up about Luna taking up the throne, maybe we should have that discussion then about ending this tradition of all this time and sacrifice wasted. Like, is it even worth it? And for Alicia, it's like, it is, because she's like, she's like, ironically enough, if it wasn't for Clem, she would have lived her entire life living in like the limited space of the world that the humanoids have kind of co-opted and just in living. And it's like, I would have died in this limited space. So ironically enough, the person who killed me helped open my eyes to the grander world, and I would have never had that opportunity if it wasn't for the said person. And for her, it's all worth it, because it's like the courage to kind of step out there and see so much more of the world that we need to like see. There's, and we can't just live in fear of the unknown. Like, there's so much out there we haven't seen, we haven't grasped. And it's like, for her, it's also meaning like, I refuse. You could hate me and disagree with me, but she's like, I refuse to ever make it seem like all the sacrifices would be meaningless, because that's what it would be saying. Like, oh, this was all for nothing. It would mean everyone that fought and died, their lives had meaning. And she's like, I refuse to believe that, And it really struck a chord with Phil, and it's like, right, that he thought that was a good answer, and it resonated with some of the villagers, seeing her like her intense passion, and so they're about to let her go. It's like, you go with Nelaru and take off, and they had an eye on, what was her name, Nia or Naya, the person who can move iron, but it's like, we'll keep them distracted while you go on. But then Maynard shows up and attacks Mark, and in that moment, Alicia attacks and defends while they hide out in the cabin, but he's got control of so many bugs. I'm surprised I never immediately thought of, oh yeah, Shino from Naruto. Well, I mean, obviously, Shino's whole clan, the whole, like, being able to use bugs thing. Because someone controlling bugs like that, I'm sure there are other examples, but, like, that's the only, like, big one I can think of. But either way, I'm surprised that never like ever popped in my head as a comparison. But yeah, like, Alicia's doing everything she can, but the problem is it's not just the big bugs, because the big bugs are venomous. Every bug he's using is venomous. Like, they're small ants. There's certain ones that are like, they have effects on her blood. The poison is actually, it doesn't, as Clint puts it later on, it doesn't get rid of the blood, but it does nullify it to the extent that, like, her healing factor basically got cut off. It's like the poison has to eventually like be vetted, like eventually works its way out of her system, and then her healing capabilities would come back. It's like, in this moment, she's not immortal. She can die again, and then if enough of that blood leaves her body, she's a corpse. I was about to say dead corpse. That's redundant. She's a corpse again. So, well, I guess you could make the argument, it's like, well, it wouldn't technically be redundant because it would be apt description, because she is a walking corpse, so her being a dead corpse, it would actually still be apt. It wouldn't actually be redundant, because it is a necessary qualifier under her circumstances being what they are. But yeah, Maynard, we find out like why he's like really leaning into like trying to like kill Alicia, and why he's like so pissy about this. It isn't just about Luna. It's not just about his job. He likes to make Alicia suffer in particular, because she's a hero. Because for him, he's like a lot of people who has frustrations with heroes. It's like, you never show up when you're actually needed. So we see like, it seems like maybe a parent of his, and like maybe his home, his town was burned, and it's like nearby townspeople helped. They were the ones that showed up but heroes, you never show up when you're needed. And that's why he leans into like Darrell so much, because it's like, this is a guy who basically doesn't believe in the bullshit system of like putting these heroes on this pedestal and treating them like something special. It's like, he's basically, as he made it clear to Glenn in the last episode, he's trying to destroy that system, going forward. So interesting parallels with the conversation, like that being what last episode entailed, but also like that being a pretty hefty conversation this episode. And despite all that Alicia's doing, like, she's being overwhelmed. Once again, like, she's using a regular sword. These things are chipping away at her. Like, if she had a normal body, it probably would weigh her down pretty hefty too. But on top of that, them having like their poison having a very unique effect on her blood, considering it's magical blood. It's hard to say, like I said, if a regular human would have already succumbed to all of this poison regardless. But like I said, it's affecting her in a very unique way. Then, like, the cabin, they're trying to, like, hold it up, like board it up so that no one could get in, but he has these larvae which eat everything. He talks about them being from an island that like over the course of like 100 years, it can go from like a inhabited forest place to a deserted place because of these creatures, but they also poop out seeds that eventually grow. So it's like this endless Ouroboros like cycle of repeating over and over again. And eventually like they turn into cocoons and they birth more bugs and like these butterfly bugs. So it's like just this endless struggle of just getting overwhelmed by all of this. Clint comes to her in the form of like her blood, because it's like well, Clint's situation being what it is, I guess it's like a portion of his power will always be there, so a portion of him will always be by Alicia's side. So he's only coming out now because he's like, yo, things are going down, I need you to resolve this situation super fast so that you can basically come to me. Initially it's like, oh, is she supposed to bail you out? We'll get to that in a second, but he ends up, Maynard at one point in time summons a scorpion as well. So everything seems against Alicia, especially she's getting buried underneath all these bugs. And so Clint somehow is able to, and I guess what I was about to say, I guess it makes sense because Clint can manifest himself from the bugs because he can, like the blood inside, I said bugs, the blood, he can form himself. So that means like Alicia will always technically, I guess, have access to some fraction of Clint's power of like being able to put stuff in shadow. So I'm assuming in that moment it's like, all right, let me draw some of this power, open up a shadow portal, and basically reveal the sword. And she grabs it because he brings up like, yo, that these bugs are mainly water. It makes up all of their bodies. So let me use this regalia, which allows you to control and basically bend water like it does, and just in one fell like spiraling swoop she like wipes out every bug, because it's almost like this interesting like domino effect of almost just kind of like her attack like ripples out, and not just in the like vicinity, it like I don't know if it's because the bugs are so close together, it kind of like I said, domino effects, and it's just like, especially when it spirals and it's just like pop 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 pop, it's so interesting. Every bug in the entire town gets wiped out. And I mean, like I said, I'm so curious if that's like the property of like the blade of like, because they, like I said, they are in such close proximity, it kind of like jumps the ability from one bug and kind of almost like ricochets it off of all of them, like for it to stretch as far as it does. But as we had that conversation last episode about the regalias, like it isn't just about the weapons, you have to be a pretty strong person too. So I'm wondering, like, I'm sure a lot of things culminated in that moment to do what she did. But yeah, wiped them all out, and everyone's kind of like, whoa, no way that she just did that. And then she proceeds to knock Maynard out. I was like, I was hoping you'd kill him, but you might need to keep him around for information. But she came out victorious in this situation. And just before she's passing out, Clint shows up. I was like, wait, how did you do that? I was like, well, you're definitely not I was about to say, not unless we find out like he took a portion of himself from the blood inside of her to make this version of his body or something. But then it's like, cause we saw the bubble, it's still intact from what we saw. So I was like, wait, how did you do that? So I'm like, okay, so before you got sealed, did you do like I cloned myself in that moment, so a fake me was there so that Darrell believes he got me? Or did you like section off a fraction of yourself? Or did you use like your shadows to kind of seep in and it just took a while to get out? Like I said, the bubble seemed intact, but I mean, it's unclear, like I said, what's actually inside of it. Like, did Clint in his entire, because I mean, to be fair, it's like, to be in his human form, he has to basically seal himself away. So that's why I'm like, how did you manage that? Maybe next episode we'll give us some clarification on it. But Clinton's big concern, like I said, I don't know if like they need to destroy that so he can get access to all his powers. But the biggest concern Clint has is like, it's actually Darrell isn't on his own. He's actually being supported by one of the four, which are like, oh, interesting. Well, we know it's not the one that's supporting that, what was the Griffin dude's name? It's like Gart. Like, it's definitely not him, because she was, that beast sent him out to like investigate. So one of the other two is supporting Darrell, but I'm like, for what purpose? Is this like some kind of like you are trying to gather some forces to, is it just because it's a game of being able to manipulate humanity to do what you want them to, or is it more a long game of like you're trying to expand your territory? Like, what are you getting from this, especially considering Clint brought it up last episode, the drill, like they're the missing, not only the children that were taken, the humanoid children, but also the beast children, younglings were taken as well. So it's like, would a like dark beast like Lord like really be fine with that, or like what is the long game here? Why support specifically? Why them in particular? There's a lot. I mean, I guess maybe it has some correlation to do with, well, obviously like the Hedon like kingdom has the forge and they have the weapons that can fight not only the dark beasts and I mean, but also the dark like the lords themselves. So maybe there's some correlation there, on why this other person is doing, well, this other being's doing what they're doing. We'll have to wait to see where next episode takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.